Oh, wow. Oh, guys, you are not ready for this movie. Oh. What's going on, you guys? James here with another real review for my most anticipated movie of 2020, Christopher Nolan's Tenet. Before I go any further, this is a spoiler-free review, guys, so guess what? That means you can stick around and not get anything spoiled for you, so you can enjoy this film whenever you can in its absolute glory, because let me tell you something, guys. Tenet is... it's an experience. Before I go any further, guys, I just want to say a huge thank you to Allied and also my local IMAX theater for just making it safe, socially distant, every single other row blocked off, and literally 12 feet of space in between us. It was such a safe experience, and I got to go on a cool tour that I'm going to tell you guys about in a little bit. But hey, before we dive into my Tenet review, if it's your first time here at the channel, welcome to Real James, where I talk all about movies and TV shows, and yes, I review them early. So if you want to see more content just like this, go ahead and hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, tap on that bell, and don't forget to get loud in the comments, guys. Let me know if you're excited for Tenet and how you feel at the end of this review. Okay, guys, so you know what? No more time wasted. Let's get into this movie. Oh, Tenet. So it's directed and written by Christopher Nolan and stars some excellent actors: John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, Elizabeth Debicki, and Kenneth Branagh, a legend. But guys, let's go ahead and start with how I watched Tenet, because we all know Christopher Nolan loves to shoot on film, more specifically 70mm film, and I was so blessed with the chance to see this at my local IMAX theater on 70mm. It's actually the only theater in this state, and also one of the few in the world to be able to show this movie the way it was intended to be shown. There were 114 speakers, and when the reel is fully assembled, I was told it weighs 900 pounds. So while this was a breathtaking experience, and it is the best way to watch Tenet, you don't have to just see it in IMAX. Like, if you can safely see this movie in your local cinema, it still doesn't diminish the quality of the movie, which we're going to get into right now. So before I sat down on my seat for this press screening, I rewatched Inception, and I even loved it more on this time around. But Tenet is one of Christopher Nolan's most layered films. It's also one of his most confusing. I actually think it's his most confusing film, but that's not necessarily a negative. If anything, the movie forces you to pay attention, and still the payoff is worth it. The concept deals with time, playing with the future and the past. They call it inversion. Without spoiling anything, this is a brief snapshot of the film. Deals with one man, John David Washington's character, I will not tell you his name, and he's chosen to help stop a war that's on the horizon. Andre Sater, who's played by Kenneth Branagh, is an arms dealer with enough nuclear weaponry in his arms, arms dealer, arms, whatever, to basically wipe out the world. So for this review, guys, I wanted to break it down in 3 different ways. We're going to talk about the concept, the acting, and if this is Christopher Nolan's best film. So let's start with the concept. The movie immediately wastes zero time getting you into the action with this fantastic orchestra sequence. You might have seen a couple of screenshots of it in the trailer, but let me be honest with you, when that score swells and then the orchestra stops, and then you hear the gunfire, and of course John David Washington is introduced and they are kicking a ton of butt, it just got me so in the mood for Tenet that I'll be honest, I don't think I took a breath. And just as fast as we get introduced to the action, we get introduced to the stakes for our characters in this movie. Now, I'm usually of the mind that exposition is tiresome in a script for a movie. I mean, yes, we hear about a lot of things, but they're not showing us much. However, Christopher Nolan finds this sweet spot in the middle where he explains the rules and how inversion is a thing, and then also gives you enough action on screen to build up to something that is worth the wait. Now, the world itself feels so darn real. This is what I would say is an action movie, clearly, and a thriller, but it's also a sci-fi James Bond-esque film. What makes it real is just this talk about world wars, trading arms, and even a human element that's explored here by Elizabeth Debicki, which we'll touch up on in a little bit. And again, I reiterate, this is a confusing film, guys. But here's the thing. I think that you, yes, have to pay attention to every single frame, but at the end, the spider web that is seemingly being wrapped up around us as an audience member kind of comes undone a little bit, and by the end of the film, you think to yourself, oh, okay, This was 2 hours and 30 minutes well spent. Now let's get into the acting, and let me start right at the top with our leading man, John David Washington. Alrighty guys, it is time for you to put some respect on his name, because darn it, he is not just Denzel Washington's son anymore. He is John David Washington, leading man in Hollywood, and you better give him any role he wants in the future, because he is excellent and near perfect in this movie. Now, I said this movie felt James Bond-esque, and that really is because of John David Washington's character. He is a straight man, but he's also able to convey this sense of humor and this slick attitude, and the way he delivers the snappy dialogue in this movie is so very suave. And that's how I want to really describe his character sometimes. When he's not kicking butt in hand-to-hand combat sequences, he's smooth. And I kind of got the impression that Christopher Nolan was heading in that direction with this character, because the first time we see him on screen in this film, he gives this cool, calm, collected look at the camera, and he kind of smirks a little bit, and I thought to myself, oh, we're in for a ride. And then there's Robert Pattinson. Guys, let me be honest, I know I just dropped a video about why you should probably give him the time of day as an actor post-Twilight, but if you haven't seen Good Time, if you haven't seen The Lighthouse, go watch Tenet and tell me that Robert Pattinson is not one of the best actors working today. Heck, he's one of my favorite actors of all time. This is a different role for him. He's not playing a zany C-word merchant dude like he was in The Lighthouse, but here he's giving you this very calculated approach. He plays Neil, who is working alongside John David Washington the entire film. He's responsible for being the architect on each mission, and he knows the ins and outs of every operation. One of my favorite moments in the film comes via this awesome conversation John David Washington and Robert Pattinson are having. And while we hear them talking back and forth, we see Robert Pattinson going in and basically, I don't know, laying the groundwork for the mission ahead. I loved it. I legit could just watch a movie of them having a conversation for hours on end. Then there's Elizabeth Debicki, who plays Kat, a mother and the husband to Andre Sater. And guys, every good movie I should say, has a scene stealer, right? And here, Elizabeth Debicki is the scene stealer. She brings this human element to Tenet that it desperately needed in some moments, because while the action was riding at an all-time high, and yeah, we're trying to understand what the heck inversion is, Elizabeth Debicki grounds the film and really brings it back down to that human level. She almost forces us to think of the ramifications if this mission fails. And her performance itself is spot on. She perfectly balances the tone of despair and vengeance in her character. Some of the best moments in the movie too come between her and John David Washington's character, and that's really because I think we see the excellent acting of them both on display. Sure, in the middle of the action, it's so neat to see John David Washington being that leading man, but when you get down to the core of their character and also them as human beings, I started to see them just act with their eyes, and I thought to myself, this is excellent. Alrighty, let's move right along to Kenneth Branagh, who we know as a director and as an actor, and here he plays an evil Mo. I can't say the rest of the word. And honestly, I can't say much about the character, but what I can tell you is that Kenneth Branagh delivers a very vicious, brutal performance and is involved in one of the most gut-wrenching scenes in the film. And I'm not talking about it being gory, but it's just this way that he spits he's so aggressive. And then I think to myself, oh my gosh, I've lost him in this role. This doesn't even look like Kenneth Branagh anymore to me. He's Andre Sater. And that's why I think his performance was so memorable. Alrighty, now to the last topic in this review, which is the question you probably have been waiting for me to answer all along. Is this Christopher Nolan's greatest movie? Now, before I answer that, guys, let's talk about what Christopher Nolan did behind the lens. Now, he's responsible for some of the best movies I've ever seen and some of my favorites of all time. And here with Tenet, it's no exception. I mean, he delivers a wholly unique experience, and really guys, we just don't see movies made like this anymore. Practical sets, using an actual 747 Boeing to crash into a hangar bay, real-time explosions, all of this just felt so darn realistic, and where there was CGI, I didn't notice it. And of course, seeing this on a huge IMAX screen afforded me the ability to really get a sense of the scope of this movie. I mean, from the vast oceans in Italy to the up-close and personal hand-to-hand combat sequences, shout out to one particular scene in a kitchen. You'll know what I'm talking about when you see it. But guys, I just think it brought me so much joy because, again, it's something I've really not experienced on the daily, and I've really never seen a film that really balances both so well like this before. Then there's the cinematography in this movie, and if you guys know me, I'm a sucker for cinematography. Hoyt van Hoytema is the man with this special gift to basically make a movie look great. Even though I didn't like Dunkirk, it still looked really darn good. And here, I mean, it's just much better. Hoyt van Hoytema plays with so many different colors, different angles, especially during that 747 hangar sequence, and one moment in particular that highlighted the usage of blues and reds in this movie. That's going to be important for when you watch the film. But honestly, it just brought the movie to life, and it made me smile. I legit almost cried at how wonderful this movie looked. And then there's the score. You guys, I cannot emphasize enough how amazing the music was in this film. Ludwig Göransson is awesome, okay? I've loved him since Creed, and honestly, he did great in Black Panther, and while I didn't like Venom, I guess he was fine in that too. But his composition here is his best, honestly, but it's also right up there with Hans Zimmer's score for Inception. I kid you not. The swelling sounds of strings building up to the action on screen, and then there's this added heart-thumping dose of techno, like those vibes are there too. And I thought to myself, boy, if this is not one of the best, if not the best compositions I'm gonna hear all year, I don't know what is. Okay, I'll finally answer the question. Is this Christopher Nolan's best film? Well, it's not. At least it's not after one watch, but that's not a negative, because what I will tell you confidently, guys, is that this movie deserves to be up there with Inception, Memento, and The Dark Knight. I'm not even kidding. This movie is excellent. So overall, you guys, Tenet is one of those films that sticks with you. It makes you think, and it forces you to pay attention to every single frame, but it rewards the audience for the attention that you pay for the entire 2 hours and 31 minutes. Seeing it in IMAX on 70mm was out of this world. It's an experience unlike anything I've ever had in my life. Tenet is not only one of the more layered, unique films you're gonna see all year, but it's just so darn enjoyable. From the acting, to the conversations, to the action on screen that left me breathless. It's just a work of art. You could go to your thesaurus and find a synonym for good and go through several pages, but not one of them will properly state how amazing Tenet is, because I'm telling you guys, this is not only my favorite movie of the year, but it's one of my favorite films that I've seen in the last decade. And I love that it caters to such a wide audience. You like sci-fi? Well, Tenet's your movie. If you like action, well, Tenet's for you too. But if you like drama and a human approach to a story that is so complex, Tenet is for you. So what I'm saying is, Tenet gets an A+ in my book. It's a 5 out of 5. It's a film that's must see in theaters if you can. But if you can't, when you do see it, please just log in and get ready for one of the more unique, exhilarating experiences of your life. Alrighty guys, well there you have it. That's my review of Tenet. Guys, if you liked everything you just heard and saw, go ahead and smash that big red button below and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments what you think of this film, and tap on that bell so you stay notified when I drop my spoiler review next week. I got some reactions coming for Legend of Korra. I'm reviewing Charlie Kaufman's next film, and I'm just so excited to sit down and talk more movies with you. So thank you for your love and your support, and guys, yeah, this is just such a blessing. Alrighty guys, well I'm gonna go ahead and try and relax because my heart rate is still going. I'm not even joking. It could just be because I walked up all those stairs at the theater. Haven't done that in a while. Again guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening.